Hey guys, and welcome to Saints TV. It's Wednesday night. I thought I'd do my Fremantle preview tonight. It's a couple of days out, but I thought I'm kind of keen to chat to you guys and see what you're thinking about the game and where we can go from last weekend and the weekend before that and the weekend before that and the weekend before that. So I've got, some stats and facts about Freo and about the Saints and how we compare against them. So we can talk about that, but we can also just discuss how we're feeling this week and if we see any light at the end of the tunnel. Right now I'm trying to stay positive. I'm looking back on how we played against them last season. We versed them not at Optus Stadium, but at their previous stadium. And we all remember Josh Bruce kicking two late clutch goals. The one right off the ruck tap, and he just kind of snapped it with like a minute to go. And then on the break with about 20 seconds to go, Gresham takes a player on. He kicks it long. Bruce runs into an open goal and win by, I think, 4 points or something like that in the end, or 8 points. I can't remember. But it was a bloody close game all day, and we were down, and we just kind of came from the clouds and won it. And we all thought, well, this team's capable of something here if they can go and win at Freo, who haven't been great. Let's face it, they haven't been great the last couple of years, but we don't travel very well. So the fact that we actually won there is a good thing. But now it's a new stadium, so it's a new environment. We can't even go there and say that we've been here before, we've done this, So hopefully the team use this as kind of a bonding trip, and that I know, like we thought that was going to be the case with Tassie. Traveling always kind of bonds teams, but fingers crossed they've got something in store to this weekend, because I'm flying down, which I've told you guys before already in my previous video. I'm flying down, so I'm crazy enough that I'm going with a friend Friday night, getting in at midnight, and then kind of hanging out till late Sunday. So it's going to be good fun to go down there. I haven't really been to Perth in a long time, and it'd be even better if the guys can at least turn up and perform. That would be the best. In terms of Fremantle, they are currently, where are they on the ladder? Let's have a look. I think they're like 10th at the moment. They've got 3 wins out of 7, I think. So they're not traveling too badly. They're 3 wins, so they're on 12 points in 12th position with a percentage of 88. The disappointing thing is we always talk about Ross Lyon's teams being very defensive, and to be fair, their defence has been pretty good this year. But last week's, just smashing to Richmond, but take that with a grain of salt because everyone's kind of losing badly to Richmond. So it's not just because Freo played poorly. Richmond, it was all in the last quarter, to be fair. It looked comfortable, but if you look at the game, I think it was basically 30 points at three-quarter time, and they blew it out to like 80 in the end because it was like 8-1 or something. But Freo haven't been too bad at home. They did really well against West Coast. They've had some big wins. They beat Essendon there a couple of weeks ago, which I really enjoyed watching them. They actually played pretty exciting football. Hate to say it, but they've been playing obviously better football than us. But I think it's going to be an interesting one, because it's one of those games where, any other year you probably go there thinking, no, we're a chance, we could win this. There's no reason why we couldn't win this. Whereas this season we're thinking, is there a reason why we can win this? You're trying to think of the strengths and weaknesses to our game, but we haven't really seen anything, so we can't really judge it. It's almost like, we've got to go every week and fingers crossed that they, turn something on. They've got some very good players. Fremantle, particularly in that midfield, Sandilands is going to be very important for them against Tom Hickey and Marshall. So I thought they both worked well against Gawn last week. Sad that the rest of the midfield didn't utilize those two, but I think in terms of Sandilands, he does go forward a bit more these days, but it's their mids that he taps to. They've got the likes of Neil, Nat Fife, Mundy kind of runs through there, but he goes forward and kicks a lot of goals for them. Ballantyne's kind of up and about now. McCarthy's a very good forward, so our defence has to be very careful on him. They've got some good players. They haven't gelled like every week, but they've got some very good players, and we'll just go through some of their stats and how they compare to us. Obviously, it wouldn't be surprising to see that most of their stats might be a bit better than us. Also, we're $4 to win the game. Now, I know we've been really bad, but I feel like $4 could be a decent bet if you're a betting person. I'm not a betting person, but $4 could be not bad. I don't think you get better odds this round. They've got a fair few injuries as well. Bradley Hill, Stephen Hill, Lee Spur, Michael Walters, who kicked 6 on us last year. So the fact that he's not playing actually brings us into the game a bit more, because he kicked 6 at 32 last year and almost single-handedly won them the game. And Sean Darcy's out as well. But in terms of us, obviously Ben Long's going to be out, which is really disappointing. But hopefully Blake Acres will make a return. So that's the thing that I've been hearing, is Blake Acres could make a return. Who's going to come out is a whole different question. I posted a poll earlier today just asking, between Jack Billings and Jack Nunes, because they're the two, and I know people have kind of criticised me for putting 2 specific players there because they might see it and it hurt their feelings. If that's what they see and it doesn't hurt their feelings, then they don't care about the football club and how they're performing on a personal level, firstly. But I'm just putting it there because I feel like they're the 2 players that haven't shown anything this season, and they're the 2 players it seems like after every loss we're talking about. So I felt like it was fair to kind of pit them against each other and to see, who's the one that could make way for Blake Acres, could make way for Nathan Fremantle or Bailey Rice. There's players that can come in. So I'm not just saying it because they've been bad. I'm saying it because I think there's players at Sandy that are probably pushing the door down to get back in. Jack Billings, we know he can get the ball. We know he can use the ball. He just can't kick straight, and his confidence is down. The fact that he didn't go for that ball in defence and he shit himself against Hogan kind of did it for me when I was sitting right behind him and he didn't commit himself to the contest, and then Jimmy Webster did, and then obviously Jack Nunes I mentioned, and then it suddenly got a lot of media coverage. The fact that he'd laid 4 tackles this season, 4 tackles in 7 games, and he was averaging 3 a game last year. So I think it's a mental thing, and I feel like that's how it is throughout our whole team. It's not like you train to tackle less. It's just you give less of a shit on match day, So it's just, it comes down to Richo, it comes down to the coaches, it comes down to preparation, mental preparation. Let's go through some of the stats. So percentage-wise, they're better than us, 89% to 70. Average points, they are 76 points to our 65. So they're not a high-scoring team. So hopefully that plays into our hands and that we're not chasing the game from the get-go. Average points against, 86 to 93. 93, 15 goals a game we're conceding. That's really poor. Average kicks, we've had more. Average handballs, we've had more. Obviously, we had 60. Now, I don't think I mentioned this in my review last week, but we had 190 kicks to 250 handballs. That's insane. The fact that we had people were losing their shit because Essendon had 10 to 15 more handballs than kicks. We had 70 or 60 more handballs than kicks. And I mean, Richard, he acknowledged in his press conference and he said that, obviously that's down to Melbourne's pressure because that's not the way we want to play. And I was just waiting for someone in the press conference just ask him, so what way do you want to play, Richard? What is the ideal scenario that you want to play? What is the game plan? Through the middle, out wide, fast, slow, defensive, man-on-man, zone. We want to know what the hell's going on. Average disposal efficiency, you guys will be very shocked to hear this. We're dead equal with them, but it's at 74%. So for a team that we've said every week can't kick and can't handle, 74% average. I don't know where they get these numbers or if they don't watch football, but that's way higher than I would have said we're at a 50-50 because we're just always bombing it to a contest. Average efficiency inside 50, we're low, obviously, because we don't take our chances at 43%. Not even 1 in 2. That's not great. Average inside 50 is the same. Contested ball less. So they're pretty balanced stats, to be honest, guys. It's not that stats are just there to kind of gloss over everything. But I just want to know your thoughts on what you're expecting from the game and what's the best way to tackle Fremantle. Is it to play man on man? Do we just go there and just give I'm getting sick of reading all the articles in the Herald Sun and the Age saying, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, Saints won't make finals now, so they should play the kids. I don't want to be in that position again. I don't want to be in that position where we're playing the kids. We did that. We've done that for the last 4 years. We're done. Like, if Richo thinks that he can come in at the start of a rebuild and then, oh, shit, I'm stuffing up. Oh, let's start another rebuild. That's not how it works. You can't mid-project start it over again. You have to either leave or you have to fix it and get to the end, or you're replaced. So you can't just suddenly, like, the first red flag for me was that the club came out and said, our timings for the 2018 being the goal for the top 4 is something that's not going to be achievable this year. That's a mistake. What other club would come out and say that and expect the fans to care, expect the fans to rock up to games firstly? It's almost like, we lied to you just so you could sign memberships, blah, blah, blah. What other club would do that? Yeah, and then they expect us to get, I'm not trying to be too negative, but then they expect us to buy memberships, to go to the games. I mean, I obviously dedicate a lot of my time to the club to talk to you guys, but you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like it fits. And I don't think it's fair on us that Richo can just, restart this whole thing. He has to fix it now. And we've seen what the team's capable of in the years leading up to this season. So I just want to know, like, is he not fun to work with? Is he telling them to play a certain way that kind of stunts us from any sort of flair? Like, we're playing too robotic. I'm almost shocked. Like, when Jimmy Webster dodged a guy last week and then kicked it long and we kicked a goal, I was telling my mate, like, holy crap, we actually took a player on. Like, I've never seen that in months. Like, I've never seen us take the game on. So I wouldn't mind doing that against Fremantle, especially you're away from home. You need to silence the crowd. I'm going to be there, so please impress me. And we're playing against a team that we know we can beat. Like, they need to know they can win these games. Do they not go into these games thinking, yeah, if we play well, we'll win this? Like, it's as simple as that. And I'd love to get Richo to just give them very simple instructions on what needs to happen. Now, in terms of outs and ins, this is a very topical thing. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts of who comes out. Obviously, Ben Long's an out, so that could obviously save someone like a Jack Billings for another week, which always seems to happen, that we want a player to come out, but then someone else in a similar position gets injured and they have to come out and the other guy's safe. I think a definite is Sam Gilbert needs to come out. I think Sam Gilbert had a shocking game last week, and I feel like a Bailey Rice or a Logan Austin, just bring in Logan Austin to give him a game. That would be really good. Nathan Freeman is someone that has been kind of kicking it down in his he's played one good game for Sandy, but everyone's like, well, if he's playing well already and we know he's a skillful player and he adds pace, he adds power, outside speed, bring him in. So it'll be very interesting to see what Richo does there and what they're planning for. Obviously, Fremantle are a very contested football team, and that's what we've prided ourselves on. That's what we said we were going to be good at, so this is going to be a good test away from home to see if we can manage that. I'll just go through some of your comments because obviously I've been kind of ranting for the last 10 minutes. Julio Taranto says 8 points that last time we played Freo, we beat them by 8 points. Maddie Lepp says Saints are no chance this time. I disagree. I think I know you guys, or some of you are going to say that I'm just that one-eyed. I run this channel. I'm always about us winning. I'm not. I've tipped against us. If you watch my previous videos, I've tipped against us maybe 3 or 4 times this season. But for some reason, I don't know if it's because I'm going, but I just really think that we might see something. Whether it's, Paddy comes out and we're playing a more mobile, small forward line, which would be good. There's something that's going to give, I reckon, and we'll see it hopefully on Saturday night. Have to shut down. Wayne says have to shut down Fife if we had to win 100%. That's like any team. You've got to shut down their best players, and he's by far their best player. And statistically, he's been killing it in Supercoach for my friend. Like, he's getting 150 every week. Even last week, he wasn't playing that well. His team wasn't playing that well, and he seemed to rake it. Like, he got 34 or something, kicked a goal, had like 10 tackles. Just absolutely killed it. So he's for sure the guy that we have to man up on. I throw it to you guys. Who would actually go to a Nat 5? Who can match him in the physical contest? And who can go, when he drifts forward, who can actually take him and man up on him? Seb Ross probably doesn't have the size. Jack Steven definitely doesn't have the size. Do you know who could be the big one? And he didn't play last week. The greatest of the GOAT, Blake Acres. I reckon give Acres V5. Imagine that. We've always said that he's kind of the Fife of our team because he's big, mobile, goes forward. Put him on the best that does it, Nat 5, and let him learn from the best. I'd love to see that. And these are the little highlights that even though we're playing poorly, I'd love to see those little things of Fife v Acres. That would be pretty exciting for a neutral, I reckon. If I was a bookie, $10 for us to win, couldn't hit a wet spot with a bag of flour, Nathan says. Jason Anderson says we have to take the game on and use the corridor every chance. We get him if it means missing the target. Big deal, but we have to be bold. And the centre line must shark Sandilands or we'll get 100%. Like I said against Gawn, we don't need to rove our ruckman. Our ruckman should just compete, and then the second the ball hits the deck, that ruckman becomes another shield for the midfielders, and we rove off the opposition ruckman. We know Sandilands is going to get the hit outs. We know he's going to get the hit outs. He doesn't get a lot to advantage, to be fair. I remember a game where he had 50-something hit outs, 60, a record number of hit outs, and he had about 10 to advantage. So that tells me that there's a lot of chances for us to rove and clear it. And I 100% agree. Play bold through the middle. I think it's a big ground. I'm assuming it's a similar dimension to Patterson Stadium, Subiaco, big wide ground. And that might suit us. I've always felt like we've been better at the MCG than Etihad simply because it's wider. And like Tassie, but obviously against Hawthorn that wasn't the case. But in general, I feel like we play better on a bigger ground. Ed Barlow Saints are big travellers. That's true. Julio says it's all a kicking backwards. Yeah, like a lot of our top possession getters are defenders, and that does tell me that we're taking our time, chipping it in the back half and not being aggressive through the midfield. Julio also says, I know what it is talking to the senior players. They're being overburdened with too many strategies and tactics. There's too much going on for them, and it's breaking their natural ability. Need to simplify it and let the players play. 100%. I said that last week. I said, go to a Paddy and just give him one instruction. Crash a pack. Go to Hickey and say, if you don't win the hit out, be another midfielder. Go to Seb Ross and say, rove the ball all day long. Go to Jack Steele and say, tackle your heart out. Jack Steele in this game last year had 17 tackles, I'm pretty sure. 15 or 17. It was one of the two I checked earlier, and he had one of his best games for us. So the fact that, players aren't tackling, there's no pressure, there's no desire, I feel like that's an easier fix than we don't have A-graders, we don't have the skill. I think we have the skill. We just need we need to be in the mental state to perform. And I think the pressure is getting to the guys, but hopefully if we can support them through this, hopefully we'll see something come of it. Nathan says, Lee Matthews once said, generally if you kick the ball through the big sticks more than your opponent, you generally win the game. Yeah, we haven't been able to do that. We kick them through almost the big sticks, but not quite the big sticks. Surely Phillips has to come in. Ed Phillips has been all season he's played really well, more so than Bailey Rice. So if there's anyone that can come out for Jack News, like a midfielder, running midfielder, Ed Phillips would be the guy that could come in. And I wouldn't mind seeing that because Ben Long comes out to save Billings. It'd be interesting to see who comes in for Ben Long, whether it's a Josh Battle, Membry, because Paddy's probably going to... I've heard rumours that Paddy may not make the trip, so we might need to replace 2 forwards, which could be really disappointing because Paddy's been really good every week, and Ben Long is the only player that can kick straight when he gets his chances. He kicks goals. Natural-born goal kicker, to be honest. Max, we have to win a game. Eventually, when do you think that will happen? I'm hoping that it's on the weekend. I'm not confident, but it's Fremantle. We have every chance of beating them. Kangaroos went to Sydney and beat Sydney. We can go to Fremantle and we can go to Perth and we can beat Fremantle. It's simple as that. Gilbert on Fife. I don't know if you're joking or serious. I know Gilbert's done that before. Dunstan on... Dunstan. That could be an... Dunstan on Neil, maybe? We need to go head-to-head and back ourselves. It's simple as that. And these 2 players, Neil and Fife, are the barometers for Fremantle. So if we can hold their influence on the game, we'll be in a better position. The fact that they don't have Walters, remember, is a huge thing for us too. Even Austin is in for McCartan. Throw Carlisle forward. I've heard little bits of this, that Carlisle forward, not as a last resort when you're 10 goals down, but as a definite from the get-go. If Paddy's not in, could be interesting because he's our best mark. He can kick straight. He's freaking taller than any other player on the ground apart from Sandilands, I think. If you look at the height of the players that are going to be playing on Saturday night, that could be something that could work. And that does give Logan Austin that game in defence to kind of fit himself in, especially with no Robertson. I feel like we need someone else that can come in and can play that role. Caulfield does it to an extent, but I think he's better pushing up into the midfield. Caulfield's been fantastic. You're serious, Gilbert on Fife. If that's Gilbert's only role for the entire game is to tackle Fife and not to kick and just a handball, then I'm all good for that. But if he is expected to do anything other than that, like talk about keeping it simple, just tell Gilbo, all right, you're manning up on Fife, don't let him out of your vision, don't let him more than 2 meters ahead, and tackle the hell out of him and make his day hard. That would be my instructions to him, and to the team, is just keep it simple, play a simple game. Melbourne were good last week, but we were poor, and I feel like we've been poor all season. Something needs to give. I was talking to my mate the other day, and I was thinking, have we played, like, we beat Brisbane in round 1. Brisbane would beat us now, or they would beat us how we've been playing. Maybe not necessarily this week, but they've been poor. Something has to give. I feel like we just need confidence. But how do you get confidence during the week? It's all on the coaches to do this, to get the players pumped up, to let them know that the season's not down. Like, I mean, what are we now? We're 1 win, 1 draw, and 4 losses, I think it is. Let's just check. Well, yeah, we're sitting at 16th. 1 win from 7, 69%. You win this game, and then you go and face Collingwood. You're only a game, and you win that. And I mean, Collingwood's been very good, so I'm not saying we're going to just win Collingwood, but you win that. You're 1 game out of the 8, and it's only round 9 with like 13 games to go. The season's not done. I don't care what these media guys say. They're not experts. They know nothing about the club. They literally talk to each other for 5 minutes after they see the score. They probably didn't even watch our game, and then they write a back page herald on Saints turn to sinners. Great, clever headline there. That's what they do. They're not like us, where they go to every game. They know the ins and outs of the young players, the frustrations of what we go through as a fan. They don't see that, and obviously the optimism, they definitely don't understand that. But I've always been an optimist in terms of St Kilda, and that's probably shows how young I am, because I know a lot of the older Saints fans have gone through much worse at times than me. I've seen 3 grand finals and prelim finals, but my mum's probably Waverley and Moorabbin days, and my mate's been through everything. So I can see how they can be pessimistic, but I'm actually optimistic for this week. I think we just need to almost ignore kind of how we've been playing and need just a clean slate, Go to Perth, and it could be one of those games, like those games where you talk about a team that eventually does something great. And you're like, remember that game where they were shit for so long, and they went there and they played this way and they won easy. And then it just changed their season. Can that be something for us? Can this be that season changer? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I think it can be, because it's not a super hard opponent, but it's away from home and we're not expected to win. I feel like those are enough things to say that, okay, yeah, we're going to do this. We're $4. Obviously, odds don't mean shit, but this could be the game where the guys just knuckle down and just say, we need to do something for our fans. And I swear to God, I hope they do. This is turning into like a diary entry, but I like this. I like just talking to you guys and seeing what you think. Let's quickly go through some more. Spot on stop 5. Yep. Melbourne weren't good though. They were terrible. That's the thing. They weren't good. They weren't terrible, but they weren't great. They were okay. They just got the job done. And I'd love to be in a position where, wouldn't you love to be in that position where you don't play well, but you still beat teams that are kind of around you on the ladder? I'd love to do that. So I'm not going to be critical of how Melbourne played. I thought, well, they didn't play well, but they got the job done. And I'd love to be in that position. Yorkshire 97, I was 6 then. I cried my eyes out. I watched it later in life. I didn't watch it then because I was 5 years old, but I don't look back. I can't even watch the 09 Geelong Grand Final is the one that I can't look back on. I can't watch any of that one because I know, and no one, I live with a Geelong supporter, so he obviously thinks they were the better team in 09, but that was the one game that, that always hurts. And 2010 draw, I'm proud of, and then 2010, replay, I'm fine with that because we were just poor. But the 09 one hurts because we were the best team all season. Anyway, going off a little off track, but let's get back to some of these comments. Nathan says, Ross Gilbert tackles, goes hard, does a task well. He did under Ross, keep it basic. I think that's the thing with Ross Lyon is he does keep the instructions basic, and that's why we're such a good team with so many random players like, Raf Clark, McWalter, Robert Eddy, all these guys that weren't superstars. Clinton Jones, kept it super simple for them. They played their role. We won every week, and that was it. Now football's become a game of zones and pushing up and ruckman becoming mids, and it's very convoluted. very confusing, I think, for the players these days, compared to back in the other day where the mid just had to kick it to the forward just had to kick a goal, defender just had to punch. That was it. Now it's a mix of a lot of things. Max says obviously he will be in the VFL for a few weeks, but if his form continues, would you bring Freeman in? 100%. 100%. He looks like the exact player that we've been missing, that X factor, that speed, that power. And I just want to see the guy play. He's a top 10 draft pick from like 5 years ago. Collingwood had him. We got him, I think, for the Luke Ball trade. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But I think Nathan Freeman, there's so much hype on a guy that hasn't played a single senior game. But it wouldn't hurt to see him. And the fact that the coaches rate him, the players think he's one of the better trainers, I'd give him a go. And if he does well, he does well. If he doesn't, give him a run. We've given other worse players extended runs in the AFL. We can give Nathan Freeman a fair run. He's still young, so there's still a lot of upside to him. And it's that sort of injection of new blood that could really excite the fans and the team and get them up and about. So it's little things like that that we can't ignore. And I'm hoping that it happens very soon. Freeman has to come in. Ross says we can't afford to kill another player in the twos. No, we've done it to a few players where Cripps hurts that he's at West Coast and he's a player that we always played in the twos, dropped in and out. I don't want Freeman to be that player, and I don't want any of our Sandringham players to be like that. I want them to earn their spot and to get a consistent run. So that's Richo's thing, but that's how I want it to play out, because we haven't been very good at responding to good form in Sandy. We've kind of kept the same team, and that's why I'm pushing for Jack Newnes or Jack Billings. It's not a personal attack on them. It's a change. It's kind of a changing of the guard almost, and every team needs that in a time of crisis, so why not try it? Carlisle for skipper. I see Carlisle and Brendan Goddard as a very similar sort of style, not because they both were at Essendon or were at Essendon, but because when the game's down, they show that they're frustrated because they care. And I think Carlisle could be a good captain. Who else would be captain? Dunstan. There's not many other options, but Jake Carl could be a very good captain, I feel. He's still very young too. Luke Ball went to Collingwood for nothing after the 09 season. Freeman came to us a couple of seasons. Yeah, that's right. Luke Ball got like 40% game time in that 09 grand final and still got like 30 disposals. So I'm not going to get hooked on the 09 grand final. That's just going to make me sad. But I'll leave it there, guys. Keep the comments coming. Obviously, I will be doing my review live from Perth, maybe at the ground if it's a win. If not, probably back at the hotel. I'll have a guest there with me, my friend, who's a Brisbane supporter, so you can give him shit for being a Brisbane supporter, even though they're probably playing better than us right now, and he's probably watching, so sorry for mentioning that. But it should be good fun. Even if we don't get the result, I'm very, very excited to go to these away games, and hopefully I get to meet you guys there. I met a few of you at Etihad, and you came up to me and mentioned that you've been watching my videos and enjoying the channel. So yeah, I love hearing that sort of stuff. And if you have any feedback on these videos, if you want me to try something different, let me know. I'm always open to it. It's kind of an us sort of thing. It's not my channel. It's just our channel. And I'm really happy that you guys enjoy it. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you. Oh, actually, I should put in a tip, shouldn't I? I should do a tip. I'm going to go Saints by 14 points. Leave your tips in the comments or just post it on the wall, and I'll respond when I can. Anyway, guys, thanks very much for watching. Go Saints.